I think everyone can see at this point the unfolding quest for digital ID.
They don't tend to think about issues such as these free social tech giants, data harvesting, data farming us.
New concerns tonight about the social media giants' role in fake news and elections.
So we've seen this immense explosion of the digital and the data economy.
The more data we have, the smarter our algorithm.
Yep, that is absolutely creepy, and you are being data harvested and farmed right now, and you need to realize that you are the animal. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and we have a plethora of absolutely crazy and absurd news to get into today, not just domestically here inside of the United States, but also, of course, internationally in China, where there looks like there's a full-on revolt happening right now against many of the absurd, crazy policies that have been spurred on and promoted by a lot of top American billionaires. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is from a trailer for a new documentary called State of Control, which you could watch right now on stateofcontrol.nl. It looks like this is a film from the Netherlands. Highly produced, well done. I haven't seen it yet, but I might be doing a review of it later. And from some of the people involved in this film, including, of course, James Corbett of the Corbett Report, I definitely think it is going to be worth watching. I'm going to be checking it out later, and yeah, the link to the full trailer will be down in the description below. As I think it's fair to say that we are on a fast track towards a totalitarian 1984 Brave New World hellscape that is almost unstoppable right now, especially when it comes to all the creepy technological advancements that very powerful people are taking advantage of for their own personal benefit. As Slate just had a very interesting article detailing how, quote, your data is up for sale on Cyber Monday, and how many powerful corporations make a lot of money off of just spying on you and then selling the data to third parties. And we're not just talking about governments here that buy up the data, but also other less sinister parties like, criminal organized gangs. And when I say technocratic 1984 Brave New World hellscape, I'm not kidding this, as there's a new policy proposal in the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco that would explicitly allow San Francisco police officers to use robots in order to take out suspects and to end their lives. Yes, this is not from Terminator the movie. This is actual real life, where we are talking about robots carrying out extrajudicial assassinations, all, of course, in the name of public safety and trust. Now, of course, the policy is being heavily criticized and talked about. Will it be actually put into place is yet another question, but the fact that we've gotten here should already be concerning for a lot of people, as of course American foreign policy already allows robots to take out suspects, and it's only going to be a matter of time until, of course, this policy moves domestically here inside of the United States, which is absolutely creepy, but not as creepy as the current president of the United States with his latest selfie with what looks like two young girls that he was creeping behind the window of. Yes, this is the latest photo op from the current president of the United States. Take a good gander into the current leadership that, of course, is all good, all loving, and really is sniffing around for any problems that might bother you. Major problems that, of course, are hitting the world and that this administration is not dealing with, including with the dramatic decrease of fertility that's happening all around the world, that is absolutely going to be leading to a crisis of civilization that, for some reason, the corporate media doesn't really want to talk about. They do, in fact, spur on policies and behaviors that, of course, promote the increase of this major problem, rather than, of course, actually trying to address it. And in related weirdo, creepy, oh man, that's really dark news, Balenciaga just shut down some of their social media platforms after they were caught promoting some very disturbing and sick photos around with their latest advertisement campaign, which of course they are now profusely apologizing for, even though they have a long history of doing this, and filed a new $25 million lawsuit against the production company that was behind these very disturbing images that Balenciaga put out there to the general public. This, as of course, it's also important to note here that there is a trend, especially in the fashion industry, when it comes to very bad people doing very bad things to small children that, of course, we cannot talk about here on this particular broadcast. This is a family-friendly show, and there's a lot of other things that I want to particularly discuss, but I can't here, which I'm going to have to do later on tomorrow on LukeUncensored.com, our own private broadcast. We're running right now a holiday special that's going to be ending soon. So if you haven't signed up to LukeUncensored.com, what are you waiting for? Sign up right now. As well as, of course, we're running a special sale on thebestpoliticalshirts.com where you can get amazing wonders like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, right for the holiday season, which is ready to get people thinking, laughing, and having very important political discussions. This particular topic, by the way, bridges the gap between the left and the right. You don't have to worry about upsetting anyone or getting into an argument because most people know this is absolutely horrendous and horrible what happened here, as of course your tax dollars were paying for this larger international trafficking and extortion operation, which the U.S. corporate media wants you to forget about. Well, they can't forget about it. They can't censor the ideas on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, and that's why I can't recommend enough for you guys to check it out, especially with our holiday specials that we have available for you right now in the making of this video, especially with, of course, the Grinch Klaus Schwab telling you that you will get no presents and you will be happy, and a lot of other very interesting, thought-provoking shirts. Promo code Luke, and you can start your journey towards lazy activism just by participating in our discourse by just simply wearing a shirt, hat, beanie, you name it. We got it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Now, there's a lot of crazy things happening over in China right now, especially in response to their zero sickness policy that has been absolutely brutal on the local population there, many times leaving innocent human beings to be locked inside of their own apartment buildings and home without any food, without any kind of escape or rescue, destroying not only upward economic mobility for the Chinese people, but also their ability to live and survive, as of course, there have been many documented horror stories of people being locked inside of their own apartments and never coming out of them ever again. And we have to remember, these brutalistic, absolutely disgusting totalitarian policies have been spurred on by some of the most influential people in our Western society, including, of course, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab himself, that declared on Chinese state television that China is the model for many nations when it comes to dealing with this sickness, praising them on their achievements of, quote, modernization, as they have implemented a social credit score system there that allows for the total enslavement of humanity and free will that is sequestered and controlled by the whims of government that arbitrarily punish people for daring to express a political opinion that challenges the state. This is also a policy that has been spurred on and complemented and adored by Bill Gates, that has been one of the biggest cheerleaders when it comes to, of course, China's response to the sickness, which absolutely is inhumane. And it's very important to mention this in the backdrop of all the latest news coming from China, because it's these same individuals that literally place people in governments that presidents like Donald Trump literally go to and say, hey, tell me what to do, as Mr. Gates was once previously asked by Donald Trump in order to be his science advisor setting up policies here in the United States. And now, even in China, even in a place where you get punished for protesting so extensively that your child might not be able to get into the good schools, that you even get denied access to internet because of, that you face retribution from the state more than ever, we are seeing a pushback against these policies, which allegedly even blur out crowds in major stadiums internationally just to hide the fact that everyone isn't complying with mask mandates. The people of China are learning that these policies aren't really about health, as of course there are still major government detention facilities being built right now, like this one in the city of Ganzhou, that could easily detain upwards of to 70,000 people all at once. You live on a QR code system where you have to get tested almost every single day in China, where you're surrounded by armed guards in order to have a green QR code that could be turned off, especially if you express the wrong political thought and idea, and then off to the detention facility where you get put in a box and then delivered food like you're a dog. You don't want to be tested? Too bad. You're going to be handcuffed and tested forcefully, and people have had enough of this brutality of what many people called a total destruction of human life, and major protests have started a couple days ago at the Foxconn facility factory where they produce your iPhones, and the workers there have been standing up against a lot of the insanity there. This as, of course, there have been clashes and scuffles breaking out, especially at local testing centers, which have faced the brunt of a lot of protests being sick of being forced to comply with every single day, along, of course, with their QR code social credit score system, which many people want to bring to the United States. And with the testing booths being brought down, the Chinese government is responding like they usually do, with them trying to, quote, stomp out not only the sickness, but of course the people's free will there. Now again, video after video is hitting social media right now, as these protests are even becoming so big that they are too big to ignore internationally, even with major censorship efforts all throughout China that ban any kind of protest or political expression that isn't along with the Chinese Communist state line. And with things getting crazy in China, this is not only something that's going to be affecting the society of China, but the larger financial economic markets, because with China getting locked down, with China becoming more and more unstable, we could definitely see that there's going to be larger economic ramifications for all of this. Now, how will the Chinese state respond to this? Well, they're already using very heavy-handed tactics, using undercover police officers as well as officers in full riot gear that have been deployed to many of these protest zones and site. But the question remains, will there be a repression here that will be successful, or will the repression here be so strong that, of course, it only creates more protests, more people being angry with the state there, more people saying enough is enough. It's going to be very interesting to see how this protest movement transpires, as, of course, there's a lot more people than there are police officers. And while covering these protests, we should never forget that there was also a top-down, draconian crackdown on peaceful protests that happen here in the Western world. We would be utter hypocrites to call out China for their suppression of protests when the West did it themselves too. They mainly did it because sociopathic billionaires that truly do control our government were the ones telling them to do so. These are the same individuals that are still cheering on China with their suppression of speech, with their suppression of human rights in that country. And will free humanity be successful here? Well, time will only tell. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on it. I love you guys. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys watching and sharing these videos. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.